Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about logistics and supply chain management, in which our topic is evaluation of the logistics towards the supply chain management. So first, let us know the introduction about the evaluation of logistics and management. So it should be known that the concept of this logistics and the supply chain have evolved over the last half century or so on. In an attempt to be logistically correct, researchers and studies have followed a specific ranking that is listed in a chronological order by the decades, which means every 10 years there is a research made on this logistics and supply chain management. But first, an important disclaimer is to be given. This perspective is just that it does not include all or even necessarily the most important logistical historical facts. In fact, it includes, however, those that were important in the eyes of some authors, where from the 1950s to the present days, R. Neil Southern 2011. So, this is the chart of the logistics supply chain management evaluation. As you can see, As we can see, the transportation era of 1950. Here, in the 1950s, it used to call the transportation era, and 1960 it was the physical distribution. In the 1970s, the physical supply of deregulation and logistics. And in the 1980s, transportation, deregulation, physical distribution, and business logistics. Business logistics was in 1990, and in 2000, it became logistics and supply chain management. So, how do we define this? Let us know by one. Here, the chronological evaluation of logistic and supply chain concept, and the first form of the chronological evaluation of concept of logistic and supply chain management implies the existence of seven distinct and important phases as shown in the figures. Here, the first The first was the transportation era in 1950s and physical distribution era in 1960s. Similarly, physical distribution and deregulation and logistics in 1970s, the transportation, deregulation, physical distribution, and business logistics combination of all in the 1980s. But in 1990s, it was only the business logistics, and in sixth, it was logistics and supply chain management for the early 2000s. Then, in the 2010, it finally became the supply chain digitalization. Now, let us know more about these things. The first era was 1950, the transportation era. As the name says, it clearly focuses on transportation of goods from one place to another place. It can be from the supplier to the customer or the market, or from the market to the supplier, which means the manufacturing unit, which consists of the raw materials. And several universities offered courses in the field of transportation. However, topics such as logistics, physical sourcing, and supply chain management are not included in these courses. There were no computers or even the packet calculators back then that could help quantify the data. So, there was also not much discussion about the system approach or the concept of total cost. The idea of working with suppliers or customers was not a priority for most managers at the time. The main term of logistics is mainly used in this military field. In times of war, having the right supply in the right place at the right time was the most critical factor to be evaluated and solved with a proper investigation. The next one is physical distribution. It is a study of transportation which is evolved into the logistics and a lesser extent logistics. So, the National Council of Physical Distribution Management was established in 1963. It was established to represent a professional logistics manager. This organization was renamed as the Council of Logistics Management in 1985 after certain amendments made, and the Council of Supply Chain Management Professionals in 2004. Today, the CSCMP, that is Council of Supply Chain Management Professionals, has more than 14,000 members. In most cases, the logistics, which is outbound logistics and physical supply, that is nothing but an inbound logistics, are seen as two distinct functions. This was reflected in the two major organizations of the time. It founded in 1963 and represents the outbound side of logistics. The National Association of Purchasing Management represents the inbound side. Moving on to next, the physical distribution, deregulation, and logistics. In the early 1970s, the physical supply, something referred to as material management of the input side of the logistics system, was taken over. Later in that century, there was a movement to combine physical distribution with physical delivery, with an emphasis on broader logistics concept. The 1970s, there was a pivotal decade for the further development of the logistic concept. Universities had the scholarly journals and textbooks, and professional organizations were all contributed to making the decades productive. In the 1980s, it was the transportation, deregulation, physical distribution, and business logistics, a combination of all. And specifically in the world of transport, deregulation continued with the Motor Carrier Act of 1980. It means it reduces the regulation of road freight rates and entry conditions. The Strikers Rail Act of 1980s allowed the railways to negotiate contracts and operate with less oversight by the ICC. Indeed, the CAB ceased operations in 1984 and in 1987, the federal government sold its common stock in Conrail. Federal deregulation of transportation in the United States has a result in a more competitive and flexible system than expected. In the 1990s, the business logistics has undergone a period of business logistics continued to be a very essential element. The most cost-focused companies have realized that there are opportunities for cost saving through the negotiations with carriers and implementations of the system approach and total cost concept. Johnson and Wood, in their fourth edition of their textbook, dropped by physical distribution from the title to simply become contemporary logistics. Many transport companies have exploited the concept of logistics, using it from a theoretical angle, promoting the idea that were only transport companies using that they were logistics carrier or they provide logistics solutions. The next one is the logistics and supply chain management. The early years of 21st century have seen a slow evaluation of logistics to supply chain management in academics and in business. As a part of the business world, small and medium enterprises have been slower to accept the supply chain management concept because the supply chain management has therefore come to be seen as a chain that encompasses the planning and the management of all activities which were involved in sourcing and converting and all logistics management activities. The transport and logistics basics textbook states. Basically, in every era, there was a certain evaluation which was made during the supply chain management realization by the companies. So, to sort by things, there were two major things in this supply chain management, that is inbound logistics and outbound logistics. And inbound logistics is a term where the company procures the material or raw material, machine, manpower to make the production process occur in the factory or the manufacturing units. So here, to adopt the manufacturing unit, when they procure or when they order the raw materials, and that becomes a supply chain management to the company, it becomes an inbound logistics management. But when a company sells its finished products in the market, the transportation system which is used to transport the finished products from the point of origin to the point of sale, that is the market, it is called as the outbound logistics. Here, by the time the companies have established their goals and opinions, and they have also learned that by minimizing the cost on transportation of this inbound logistics and outbound logistics. They can increase their profit, and they can also save the amount of time which is consumed while transporting the goods from one place to another place, because it will increase the profit. It will help the management to save the time, and it will also help to analyze the market demands, and it will also help in maintaining the inventory stock properly, so that the company knows which product or which material is getting out of stock, and which material they should order as soon as possible. So, in the last era, that is 2001, it is also known as the present era because it is the era of digitalization. The word digitalization means everything today has come on computers. Everything today has come on computers, which corresponds to the dematerialization of information processing. This digitalization offers a better management of data flow, as well as it also helps in building an unparalleled reliability of information related to the supply chain. For an optimal production flow management, the digitalization of flow, physical logistics flow, or logistics just in time is therefore essential. Nowadays, a different type of businesses find themselves faced to an increased and globalized competition, because everywhere the internet has been so common, and the people, the management people, the company people are using it to reduce the cost, so that they can introduce the products for a lesser price than the competitors who are existing in the market. To survive in the market, to gain the profit, and to gain the customer base, this digitalization has played a pivotal role. In order to remain the competitiveness, the digitization of supply chain management has become the most necessary activity to be performed in the organization. The benefit of this digital supply chain are no longer debated, as it is very common to see that, but digitalization of work in the supply chain management, it helps to analyze the inventory management properly, and it also helps to deliver the products on time. Thank you so much for listening.